We are going to freeze bills until 2017, so prices can only fall. We are going to give the regulator powers to cut prices so that actually wholesale price reductions get passed on. Sure, there are upward pressures on bills in the long run, but that makes it all the more important that you reform the market to make it fair.
Can you help us with another of your policies, the mansion tax? According to your leader in Scotland, this is a way of taking money out of the southeast of England and giving it to Scotland.
No,
that is what he said.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't what he said.
Well, he said specifically there weren't enough properties in Scotland to raise the mansion tax that would fund the Scottish NHS. It was a way of taking money from the southeast of England and spending it in Scotland.
Shall I explain?
Do, please.
So we're going to levy a mansion tax on homes above £2 million. Now, it is true that most of those homes are in the southeast. And it's also true that there are consequentials of that spending for Scotland. That's the way the United Kingdom works.
Consequentials?
Well, it's the way that money gets distributed. And that some of that money will be spent in Scotland. But let me make this point, because it's really important. This is part of being a United Kingdom. If there are young people who are unemployed in Newcastle and the money for a banker's bonus tax, more of it is raised in London, we help those young people in Newcastle. If another tax falls somewhere else, then we help people across the United Kingdom. If there are poor kids in London, we help them. So that is part of being a United Kingdom. You have redistribution across the United Kingdom. So this is absolutely a principle of a country that stays together and looks after each other.
What about Alex Salmond's other types of blood money that he would like to exempt or exert from England? What about, for example, promise not to recommission Trident, perhaps move it out of Scotland? Would you go along with that?
No.
No, you wouldn't. What about starting the high-speed rail line back to front, as it were, in Scotland?
No, look, I'm not going to get into a bargaining game with Alex Salmond. Look, he's not.
You are?
No, I'm not.
You are. If you have any chance of forming a government, you will, won't you?
No, don't be so presumptuous. You've got 6 weeks to go. You've got 6 weeks to go. You don't get to decide the election results 6 weeks before the general election. You're important, Jeremy, but not that important. It's a British people.
I don't want to decide it.
No, come on.
You know there is
It's a British people. No, let me finish the point. It's a British people.
You're suggesting you can get an overall majority.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right.
Okay. Right. In that event, you would be leader of our country. You know what people say about you because it's hurtful, but you can't be immune to it. A bloke on the tube said to me last week, Ed Miliband goes into a room with Vladimir Putin, the door is closed, 2 minutes later the door is opened again and Vladimir Putin is standing there smiling and Ed Miliband is all over the floor in pieces.
Was that David Cameron who you found the tube?
No, it wasn't. I don't think he uses the tube very much. But
that's rather unfair to him. I think.
It is unfair.
Yeah.
But you understand what the point is here. The point is people think you're just not tough enough.
Well, let me tell you, right? Let me tell you. Okay. Let me tell you. Okay, in the summer of 2013, this government proposed action in Syria, the bombing of Syria, right? I was called into a room by David Cameron and Nick Clegg, because President Obama had been on the phone, the leader of the free world, right? I listened to what they said, and over those days I made up my mind, and we said no, right? Now, I think standing up to the leader of the free world I think shows a certain toughness.
I would say. What's happened in Syria since?
I'm not proud of it, no. It's a failure of the international community. But what I'm not going to do is repeat the mistakes of the 2003 Iraq War, which happened when Labour was in power, which is a rush to war without knowing what your strategy is and without being clear about what the consequences would be. I'm not a pacifist, so I did support action in Libya. David Cameron talked about how I supported action against ISIS. But am I tough enough? Tough enough? Hell yes, I'm tough enough.
Do you think, how has this impression got out there? How is it that you are less popular than your party, that even your own MPs consider you a liability? How has that happened?
Look, I don't commentate on these things. I don't commentate on these things.
You must read them.
No, I definitely don't read them. Do you read about yourself?
What if I can avoid it?
Exactly. You make my point for me. Look, there's 6 weeks to go till the general election. The people here and the people at home will make up their mind about me and about the country and what kind of country they want. But you know, frankly, it is water off a duck's back, honestly.
So when Simon Danczuk says, I find when I go and stand on the doorstep, Ed Miliband is a liability, you are unaware of that?
Look, Simon Danczuk's entitled to his views. The only thing I can do, the thing I've learned most in this job, let me tell you, is to be yourself, right? That's what I am. And, you know, people have to decide, do they want my ideas? Do they want my principles? When I've stood up to not just the President Obama, but Rupert Murdoch, the energy companies, the banks, fighting for ordinary people, which is what I believe in and what I came into politics for. And do they want somebody who will think every day about how they put working people first in our country? And you know, I don't care what the newspapers write about me, because what I care about is what's happening to the British people. And I know this country can be so much better. And that's what I came into politics for. And newspapers can write what they like. The bloke on the tube can say what he likes. I don't care, because I care about the British people and what happens to them.
The thing is, they see you as a North London geek.
Who cares? Who cares? Who does?
Well, it was mentioned earlier by a member of the audience.
Yes.
A lot of people, when they look at your candidacy for the most powerful job in the land, they look at you and they think, what a shame it's not his brother.
Well, look, you know, that's obviously not the way I see it, is it?
No, of course it isn't.
No, exactly. You know, look, you need a toughness in this job. You need a toughness. People have thrown a lot at me over 4.5 years, right? But I'm a pretty resilient guy. And I've been underestimated at every turn. People said I wouldn't become leader, and I did. People said 4 years ago, you can't become Prime Minister. I think I can. You're saying I can't win a majority. I think I can. So let people underestimate me. But what I care about is what is happening to the British people in their lives. And I think I can change it. And I know I'm the right man for the job. That's why I'm sitting here. And that's why I believe that I'm the best choice to be Prime Minister.
Ed Miliband, thank you.
Thank you.
You okay, Ed? Huh? You all right? Yeah. You.
It is LBC leading Britain's conversation, and there you have it, live radio coverage on LBC of the battle for number 10. Cameron and Miliband grilled by a studio audience, and of course